Hi!
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 How are
Thank you
you?
very, very much for being here, Hélène.
I'm happy. Thank you for having me, really.
I am super excited for today.
Yeah, me
I am
too.
a big fan of you. You already know how I admire you, your work, how you are an inspiration for me and for a lot of us as a musician and as a woman. You are very important
Thank you very
for
much.
us. Thank you very much. Okay, today we are going to talk about your experiences, about your trajectory as a student, as professional. And so we could start with the beginning, from the beginning. And maybe you could speak a little, you could say to us a little bit about how do you started, where do you started? You were born in Paris?
No, I'm not from Paris. I come from a small city. It's called Nevers. It's in the middle of France. And yes, it's quite small, but there is a music school. And I started there when I was 7. So
Is it true that you sign up for a course, a recorder course instead of a flute one?
well, I thought it was, it's the same word in French. And at first I wanted to play the piano, but my mother thought it was a bit too expensive, the instrument, because she was raising me on her own. And then I said, I want to play violin, but there was no place in the class. And so I saw the flute class and I thought it was a recorder and said, okay, let's play the flute. And it was not a recorder, but I just realized that afterwards, yes.
And then you started your flute lessons there. It
Yeah.
was a small school from your city.
Yes, the music school of the city, yes.
Yes, and then you studied there you finished the course there?
Yeah, I stayed there 11 years.
11.
10, 11 years, something like that. And then I went to Paris to the small conservatory. Well, it's a big conservatory, but it's not the national conservatory. And I was with Vincent Lucas there for 2 years. And then I entered the Conservatoire National, which is a big conservatory every flutist dreams about. So, yeah. But it was not on the first try. I actually tried 3 times for the National Conservatory. And I was on the waiting list. So I almost didn't get in.
Oh my God! Because
Yeah.
the national, you have only three chances to get on.
Yes.
It's it.
In Paris, yes. I did 2 times Paris and 1 time Lyon. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you studied in Paris.
Yes, not very long, because I entered there in September 2009. And then in January 2010, so 5 months later, I got my job in Luxembourg. So it was...
You were so young. So
yeah,
young.
I was really young. I was 19. So yes, I had no idea what orchestra was actually. So it's funny. Because my teachers, all the way, they did such an amazing work. They prepared me so well. And so I won the job. It was my first audition. When it's your first audition, it's easier. Now I can say it because I did all the auditions, and it's not as easy anymore because I'm not 19.
But you're just very young. You are still very young.
Well, you would be surprised. I'm turning 30 next month. So
yes, so young.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
that's
okay. It's not 19. It's the head. It's very different. So yes.
Yes, that's true.
So I got the job, and then I still finished my bachelor in Paris. I kind of took the train and went to the lessons. And then I stopped after the bachelor, and I thought I'm not studying ever again because, all this administrative stuff in conservatories is a bit annoying, to be honest. And I did my first competition in Kobe in 2013.
Okay, 2014.
13, when Mathilde Devigny and Sébastien Jacot won. And
Okay.
as I was listening to their final round, I realized that I needed to have some flute lessons because I knew how to play flute, but I had no idea how to play music. Like really, I had never cared so much about music until that point. And I decided to study again. That's why I did my master in Germany, in Karlsruhe, with Renate Greis, and she was fantastic. And she and her assistant, Matthias, they were fantastic, and I learned a lot from them.
Yeah. Fantastic. Wow. Such a huge pictures you had. Pierre-Yves Gaston, it was one of them in the Conservatoire of Paris, isn't it? And then Renate. So it was very difficult to study with them because we don't have any idea about how they was as teacher. They were very, very, I don't know how to say it, very exigent. How could I say it?
Demanding, I think, in English.
Yeah,
French,
that's it.
The same, they were, of course, they wanted me to practice and they wanted me to make some progress, of course. But I was lucky because I never had any teacher who was mean to me or like really stressful. And they were not that way. And also probably they noticed I was very hard on myself already. I always really did my best, and you wouldn't believe how many times I just cried during a lesson.
Oh my God, I was not the only one. I'm not the only one. Let's cry after class.
Yeah, well, during the class, so it's kind of awkward. And at some point, that was funny because Vincent Lucas, it was 2 weeks before the entrance exam of the conservatory in Paris, and I just stopped playing in the middle of my piece, and I went against the wall, and I started crying and sobbing like that. It was pathetic, really. And
oh my God!
Like, why are you crying? Oh, it's so bad what I'm doing. And it's like, the next time you cry in a lesson, you're just out of the class, so just go home, put your sneakers on and go and have a run. And that's how I started to run, because he just said, okay,
my God,
just go and have a run. And yeah.
Oh God.
Yes. And but it happens. I just cry lots of times. And it's interesting because I have been told many times that I shouldn't cry in public because it shows weakness and people can use that against me. But the thing is, I can't help it. I cannot do anything. Sometimes I just cry and that's it. And I decided that it was not a show of weakness, but a show of my emotions. And I'm a musician anyway, so I need that. So if I'm crying and people think me crying during a lesson or because of something is a weakness, good for them. They can try to use that against me. I know I'm crying. That's nothing new for me. I don't think it's a weakness. It's just me, and I'm okay with that. And sometimes it's awkward, and I would rather not cry in public. And it doesn't happen every day. It's not every day, but no, it did happen a lot when I still was having lessons. And it's okay. I mean, it's like that. So I'm myself, and I'm working hard on myself every day. And if I just can't stop crying, yeah, well, what can you do? So you have
yes,
to
perfect. Yes, fantastic. Because we are human, so this is completely normal, and we need to be kind with ourselves. It's true. But it's really good to know that you are like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
normal.
No, I'm very emotional. I'm always very emotional. It can be like I can stop crying and you have no idea why, and I can be like jumping all over the place because I'm so happy, and it can go very fast from one to the other, and yeah, that's how I am.
Fantastic. Really good to know. Well, let's talk a little bit about, you said you did the competition, the Kobe competition, and I think all of us want to know a little bit about how was their preparation for it. You did other competitions before Kobe. How it was for you?
Well, for me, the difference between probably me and the usual people who prepare competitions, it's students. And when you are a student, you have a lot of time, if you're lucky, because lots of students have to work to pay for their rent. So, but if you're a lucky student and you don't have to do that, you have lots of time. So you can just prepare this big repertoire that you need in a competition. So like 12 works or something like that, like 4 rounds, it's a lot. For me, I was in the orchestra, so when you have 6 hours of rehearsal a day, you can't practice 4 or 5 hours. It's impossible. You're dead. So I kind of took the easy way, and I took all the pieces I could from the programs that I already knew. But that's one thing that's good to do when you know you don't have so much time, because like preparing a new piece takes forever. Well, for me, it takes a lot of time in any case, not for the fingers, but for the music, of course, for it to be deep within yourself. And so that's one thing. And also it's very important to choose pieces that you play well. So for example, when you are a student, or actually always when you're a musician during all your life, it's good to practice pieces that will make you do some progress, of course. But there is a right time for that, and there is a time that's not right. And preparing a big competition, if it's gonna be your big competition in your life, or maybe you will do 3 or 4 or 5, but not much more, because there is this age limit. For a big competition, it's maybe not the best time to pick, oh, you know, I suck at playing slow movements. Let's pick this piece because I will do some progress. Yeah, and what if you don't? If you don't, you still have to play it, because usually you have to choose a program 1 year before and you can't change it anymore. And that is really, really hard, because you have no idea where and what and who you will be next year. So it's hard. So sticking to some repertoire that you know puts you in a good light would be my recommendation. For example, whenever there was Chandelinos on the repertoire, I would always pick that, because it was always my favorite piece and I knew I could play it well. And I would pick that, and not Dutilleux, which sounds much more French somehow, and which was not my main strength. And yeah, so I would recommend sticking to what you know best. And sometimes you don't have the choice. You still have to play a piece that you really know you are not very good with. It happened to me when I did the Geneva competition, also in Kobe. Whenever there's some Bach involved, I don't like it, because I love Bach, but that's not what I play best, and I know that. And well, when it's in the first round, you don't have a choice, you deal with it. But for me, it took like 10 times more work to play this one piece for the first round, that's Bach, than playing Chandelinos. It's like that. So okay, when you don't have a choice, you have to live with it. But best case scenario, you can just pick whatever it is that you know you will play well. If you have time, you can pick new pieces that you really love and you really want to invest time in. But if you don't have time, just pick whatever you already know, because we always underestimate the amount of work. And when you have to prepare 4 rounds, and then suddenly there's an audition 1 month before the competition, and you also want to do it, but yeah, it's so much work. So if you don't have all this time, it's better to stick to what you know. That's my experience, of course.
Yes. But for example, if the competition is July, in June, as Kobe, for example, you should prepare yourself a year before start to studying and preparing yourself. Or you mean about the time, the hours for a day you are going to study in a day, for example?
Well, it's hard to say. We are all different. I think you have to find what works for you. That's important. For example, for me, well, you can't play every piece every day. No way. So what I would try to do when I was preparing for Kobe is like, today I'm working on the first round, and tomorrow I'm working on the second round, and maybe some things from the first that I didn't have time for, and so on. And actually then you come to the last round and you haven't played your first round for 3 days, and you're like, no, I want to have another look at my first round. So it's really hard. It's hard. We are all different. You won't ever feel ready. I did 5 competitions. I did 20 auditions. You never feel ready. You always feel like, I need to practice more, and you can't. So yeah, how long before should you prepare? It depends. How many works there are in the program? Do you have to play by heart? It makes a huge difference. If you have to play by heart, it's a nightmare. Some people do that very easily. I don't, not anymore. 10 years ago it was okay. Now I really struggle with playing by heart. Yeah, do you already know the repertoire or not? If I had to play a Jolivet competition in 2 weeks, I could, if there was only Jolivet repertoire, because I know that so well. But if you would put a normal competition program, even if I knew all the pieces, I'd say like 3 months. Well, some people, very few, can just come in a competition and prepare for just 1 month. But let's be realistic, very few people can do that. I know some of them. I'm very jealous. I can't do that.
Yeah, me too, of course.
I need lots of time. What I would suggest is, if you know you have a big competition like, let's say, Munich coming up. Now we have no idea what's going to happen with Munich, but let's say you want to play the Munich competition. You know that 1 year before, you start to prepare the program. Like 1-2 months, you just play all the new pieces you never played before. You really work on them, and then you leave them be, and then you do something else for a few months, and then 3 months before, 4 months before, you really prepare everything and like really work hard on it, because music needs time to mature, to become deeper and more profound, and for me at least. And when I practice a piece and I leave it be for 6 months or 3 months, then it's much better afterwards, even if I didn't practice it again. So I would suggest doing that.
Okay. And then you keep studying techniques with the repertoire always.
Well, yeah, if you have time. Like if you're 2 weeks before the competition, I'm still doing every day my warm-up and my scales, because it's good. Anyway, you have to keep your tongue and your fingers fit, but you won't have time to practice 2 hours of technique every day. So at some point, you'll have to just drop what is not super urgent. So yes. Except if you can practice for 6 hours a day, but that's really a lot. And maybe practice 1 hour less and less technique, because if you're practicing for a competition anyway, your fingers are working a lot, so it's good.
Yes, and about this resistance, play a lot of hours, and how do you think that this kind of, I don't know if this is right word, resistance that you get through playing a lot of hours, this can help you in the competition to get well, to play well everything, and at the final be okay, not die.
Absolutely. What I think the word you're looking for is stamina, and this stamina you have to build up. And anyway, if you're preparing for the competition, you will be working so hard on it that you will get it. And in a competition, it's very hard, because well, you don't really know at first when you're gonna play, because you have to draw your number, and it's never the number you want, so you're never playing on the right day. And you have to prepare your round and still think about the second round or the third, and still work. So you have to be able to just take 4 hours of flute a day without being too tired. And the day before you play the round, maybe just drop it and hi, Poland. Sorry.
No problem.
And when I did my last competition, Kobe 2017, 10 days before, I was in an audition in Rotterdam for the principal job. And I had practiced so much between Kobe and Rotterdam that when I arrived to the audition, I couldn't play anymore. Like, it was like awful, really. I just was so ready, but I couldn't play. My lips were
dead. Too tired.
Yeah. And then after, of course, I was out first round because my sound was awful. And then after that, I was like, okay, in 10 days, I'm flying to Japan and I can't play the flute anymore. And I need to practice because I hadn't practiced the last round. It was awful. And so I said, like, you know, I have 10 days. And in these 10 days, I will play 1.5 hours every day. And that's it. And you have 12 works of repertoire to practice. So, but I knew I was tired. So it was useless to go there very ready with the fingers and here to be completely broken. So I went to Kobe competition with, I think I had stamina, but I had to be very careful. And so I couldn't really practice. So I practiced like just the fingers and in my head, and I just played 1.5 hours a day. And on the day I played the rounds, and after I was done playing my round, I went, because on this day, I was not playing the next round, just the day after. But you have to manage this time and your repertoire and your lips and your stamina, and you have to know yourself very well. Also, during this competition, I didn't sleep. Like, I slept 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. I couldn't eat. I was so stressed. It was
my God.
There was jet lag. So it's always such a struggle, this competition. So you have to just know yourself very well and to prepare your best and know that you won't have the best conditions to play. It's impossible. It's just too hard. And if you prepared at your best, and what I did was I did my best, and then in the last 10 days, I just could play 1.5 hours a day. That was my best, you know. But I was not so stressed about that because I knew you know, I had done my best and it would have to be enough. And if it wasn't, well, that was not my fault. I had done my best and that's it, you know. And it's very important to remember that if you win, that's amazing. It's the best feeling in the world. And it means you can play the flute. But if you don't win, it doesn't mean that you are a bad flutist or a bad musician or a bad person. It actually doesn't mean anything. It can be you having a bad day. It can be your style of playing that's not the one that the jury liked. It can be like you drew the wrong number and it was nap time, you know, after lunch, everyone was playing, it was falling asleep in the jury and you played at that time. It can be anything, but whenever something doesn't work out, competitions, auditions, entrance exams, not winning, not getting what you want doesn't really mean anything. It's super hard, and at some point, of course, you have to ask yourself, am I right for this job? But don't take it too personally because chances are it's not. Yeah.
Yes,
sorry,
perfect.
I kind of
no, perfect. No, thank you very, very much. It's amazing to hear from you all these tips and experiences. Really, really, thank you very much. You can talk. Speak a lot, no problem.
I'm good with talking a lot, so yeah.
Thank you. And now talking about a little bit about our mental health, because it's so stressful. You, as you said, you couldn't sleep, and so the stress was very, very tough. But about mentally, did you prepare yourself in some way to feel more relaxed, doing some sport? I don't know. You prepared yourself in this sense, or you could give some tips from what you do today for feel more relaxed in auditions or something like this?
So it's a bit hard because there are lots of things you can do, and we are all very different. And for example, me, I did 5 competitions, and everyone I prepared very differently. For example, if you take the Prague competition where I won the 2nd prize in 2015, I actually played more badminton than I played the flutes at that time. I probably practiced 2 hours a day, and I played almost 3 hours of badminton every day. It was crazy.
Wow, wow, almost an athlete.
Yeah, well, I felt great, and I got 2nd prize, and I was very happy about that. And,
wow.
When I prepared for Kobe 2017, I had no time for sport. I didn't do anything. I had no time. I just had to practice. And that worked out as well. So I wouldn't recommend just practicing, to be honest. It's hard for the mind. This is also a matter of knowing yourself very well, and that you can only get from experience, I think. That's why, like, it's a numbers game. Very few people just win on the first try. So you just try, you see what works, what doesn't, and next time you change what needs to be changed. And it can be that it's always different because we are always evolving. We are different people every year. We are just changing so much, especially between 20 and 30, I notice now. So yeah, yeah. And I would say lots of people do things like body mapping, Alexander technique, meditation. I never did all of that. But for lots of people, it works super well. A book that actually helped me a lot is, you can find the reference on my blog, that's on my website. It must be like the first article on it. Anyway, it's In Quest of Excellence. Just, I have it here. Wait a second. Where is it? Where is it? It's In Pursuit of Excellence. Sorry, that's this book. Terry Orlick, In Pursuit of Excellence. I think it's wrong in the wrong side, but I will put it in my stories, and I'll send you. I'll send you the pictures so that you can put in yours as well. This book is amazing. There are lots of exercises for mental health and things like visualization and things. I never did these exercises because it's not my thing, but lots of very interesting things. And that actually changed my mindset about competitions a lot, because I went from, yeah, it's all about me playing well or not well, from, no, it's not. It's about, it's about how I play. It's not about the other people, but I just have to focus on myself, on whatever I can do best, and trying not to be bothered by people in the warming room, like in the dressing room, warming up with the most amazing tone or the most amazing scales ever. And I'm not impressed by that anymore now. I used to be a lot. I'm a very impressionable person. I'm like, oh my God. But now I learned that actually it's just focus on what you can do best, and that's it. That's all that you can control, and focusing on just the things you can control gives you a lot of freedom, actually. And so nowadays I try to do a lot of sport for my head. I used to do that as well until I didn't have time for it for Kobe, but it just depends on your time of life. Yeah, like I said, some people meditate, some people do lots of things, and for me, maybe it won't work. For you, it could, and we are all very different. I think I wouldn't want to give like, yeah, do that and that. I don't know what's gonna work for you. I know what's working for me, and not every day either. So trial and error every day. Yeah.
And we have an interesting questions here. Do you still get nervous
Yeah, I
Well,
saw the question. It's interesting. Yes, and more because I'm getting older and I was not so nervous before. No, some things, it's funny because some things I'm not so nervous about anymore, like other people. And some things I'm getting more nervous about. But it depends on the day. It's really weird. My last auditions, I had 2 auditions this season, and that will be it because the other ones have been cancelled. I had 2 auditions, and for one of them, I got so nervous. I was like, what's happening? I don't remember being that nervous before. And yeah, because I had to play Volière in the first round, and actually it was my first time playing Volière. And I was a bit like, it's not at all what I play best. I hate trills and I hate very fast staccato, and it's all together like almost crazy. So I was really nervous, and it was okay, because the thing is, when you get older, you also have more experiences of being nervous. So now I kind of, yeah, I'm nervous, I hate it, my breathing is just pathetic. My fingers are I'm trembling, I'm just really feeling so bad. But you know what, it's not the first time, and even if I play bad, I'm not gonna die. What worst thing is, I'm not gonna get the job, and this is not a great feeling, but it's okay. I mean, the good thing about being a musician, despite all this competitive thing, and we are so few jobs, the good thing is you're never gonna kill anyone. We are not surgeons. We are not doctors. If we make a mistake, the worst thing that happens is, well, it doesn't go well, it's okay. You know, we play music to share with others. We play music for so many beautiful things. And if it doesn't go well, it happens to everyone. And I think that now, like, the feeling of, yeah, worst case scenario is I don't get the job and I don't pass first round. And let's be honest, I hate that. Not passing first round is the worst ever. But I mean, I'm gonna be sad and disappointed, and then it's gonna be over, and then it's gonna be next auditions. There's always the next one, and life goes on, and it's okay. And life is made of disappointments anyway. So and sometimes victories as well. But it's getting nervous is okay. Now, what's funny is I get nervous for auditions a lot, but not for concerts. It's interesting. Well, not for recitals. Well, I'm nervous when I practice for it, when I prepare, because I'm always like, I'm never gonna be ready in time. But when I play, I'm okay. Actually, I just love it. It's just the tiny spark of something that's good difference. But sometimes when I play in the orchestra, I'm a bit nervous. Sometimes, surprisingly, even as a second flute, for some things that actually shouldn't be hard. So it's funny. I don't think you ever get not nervous at all. I think it belongs to being on stage. You know, it's good in a way.
Yeah, I think the same. Well, we have another question here. How did you deal with the no's you got while you were a student? Have you already thought about the through the towel and gave up from the musician career?
I'll tell you a secret. I think about it every day.
Really?
Almost every day. There's a moment I think, what if I just stopped? You know, what if I did everything, something else? And I did think that a lot when I was a student. Well, not so much as a student, actually, because I was super lucky and I actually got my job super early. But afterwards, you know, all these auditions that didn't work, and especially after my first Kobe competition, when I realized, like, I'm playing the flute, I'm not playing music, wow. And I started to study again in Germany, and sometimes I would work very hard the whole week and be happy with what I did, and go to Germany to my flute lesson. And then my teacher, she would be like, you have no, that's not it. You have no idea. It's no. And I would go back to my car. It was 3 hours drive, and I would just cry during the whole drive, and things like, I'm never gonna get it. I'm never gonna be a musician. I'm forever gonna be a flutist. And I already had my job. It's a lovely job. I love my job. I mean, I had everything one could hope for, but there were moments I thought, if I can't improve and become the musician I want to be, I don't think I can deal with just being the flutist I am now. I don't think I want to be that. So if I can't be someone else, then I'll just do something else. And yeah, that lasted a long time. And, you know, there are still many moments where I think, is it worth it? Well, because I love my orchestra job, but, you know, so I used to be principal in Germany. I'm not anymore because I didn't pass probation. That was a super hard time. It was the hardest ever. And also, you know, after this big Kobe Prize, I had some concerts, but now I don't really have that much anymore. And all these recordings, there was so much work, and I was kind of hoping lots of things would happen thanks to that, and it didn't really. So it was so much work, and not a lot came out of it. And there have been days, there are still lots of days where I think, is it all worth it? You know, so much work. Should I just give up on being a soloist completely and just also on being a principal? Because also I love Luxembourg so much, and so for me it's a really hard choice to audition again to be a principal flute, but then I will lose everything I have here. So there are lots of days where I think, yeah, should I just stop it and be happy with what I have, or just do something else? Or because it's so much work, and maybe it's not gonna work out, and I have no way of knowing if the work I'm doing right now will bring me something next year, or in 2 or in 10 years. And some days I'm tiring of all this practicing, and I would rather do something else. I just play the flute for hours and spend some more time with my partner or with my family, or maybe just you know, have a family of my own. And it's always hard because no one can promise you anything about your future, and that's the hardest part of our life, I think. It's not the no you get, because the problem of the no is not the no itself, to come back to the question, because as I said before, it doesn't mean anything, a no. The only problem, just a second.
No.
It's just a cold. It's not the coronavirus. Well,
okay.
No, I think I have some allergies. I'm always
okay.
So the problem of the no is it doesn't really mean anything in itself. So it's just don't take it personally. I know it's hard. It's easy to say. I've been there, but it's very important not to take it personally, because it just can mean that someone else had a taste that was better for the teacher, and that's it. And we have the funny but the hardest part about the no is not knowing when it's gonna work. And for that, I am very sorry to say that I can't help you, because I'm here as well right now in my life. No one can promise me. You know, when I came back to Luxembourg, everyone said, yeah, you have to audition again. There's just even a bigger job for you. And I'm like, yeah, can you promise that? Can you sign with your blood? Because I can't know. You can't know. No one can know. And it doesn't matter who I am and what my resume is. And if I go to an audition and someone else fits the job better, there's nothing I can do. And it's not just all about me, it's about what they're looking for. And I mean, and I also am getting more nervous now, so I don't play that well in auditions anymore. So it's hard. That's the hardest part, the not knowing, and no one can promise you anything. And it's for you at some point to decide, do I go on? Do I give it one more try, 10 more tries, 1 more year, 3 more years? And that's the hardest part. And some people make very hard decisions sometimes. And I'm very lucky that for me, I just got the job on my first audition, and that was out of my hands. But I still face that every day. Sometimes I still want to give up.
No, you can't. You can't, please. You can't.
I want to give up, and I haven't yet, so I probably won't, but it's still something that's here, and probably it's good because then it reminds me every day why I am still doing it. I'm still doing it because I love it. I love the music. I love the sharing. I love social media for that because it opens so many connections I would never have, and I love to be able to share with you that I'm a human being, and it's not easy for me. Never. Well, not always, at least. It can seem easy, but it's not. I'm just as human as all of you, and as struggling sometimes. And yeah. So yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's the thing is, what kept me from giving up so far probably will keep me from giving up. Always. I don't think I could live without the flute and the music, and I didn't play one note today. I didn't pack the flute out, and I was like, yeah, no flute today. And it's the day like, yeah, I kind of missed the flute today.
Yes, but no, you cannot give up. Please, no, we cannot live without listening you in your CDs, and you have so much to do. Yeah, you still have a lot to do. You are young. You have a lot behind. No, in front of you, have a lot of things in the future.
Well, we'll see. Thank you very much in any case. But I wanted to say that because it's really an interesting question. Did you ever want to give up? Yeah, every day, even now. Like. Oh
my God! No.
I mean, no one ever talks about it, and probably it's very bad for my social image, for promoters. I have no idea. But anyway. At some point, I decided, like, if it's bad for my image, for promoters, it means I'm not cut out to be a soloist, and it's okay. It's gonna be disappointing, but it's okay. But what's more important for me is to be real and to share with you, because all of us are struggling, and even the big stars, I think, and they don't talk about it because you don't talk about it. No one ever does, and. If I can help people by sharing my journey and my struggles, and even now, and if that means I don't have concerts, I still pick helping people. I think that's more important. So yeah.
Yeah, I think this is why I think you are so important. Your figure. How could I say it? Your image, your figure as a human and a flutist and a musician is so important for us, not only musically but also in social media. It's because we identify ourselves with you. We feel that it's not only us that suffer and have a lot of struggles and troubles and things to go how could I say it, to go through, have a lot of challenges. So you feel the same. You are you, and you feel the same. So it's completely normal. And this is why I think I would like to thank you again for doing this amazing work through internet, through your social media, your Instagram, because we feel embraced for you sometimes, Thank you very much.
Thank you. I mean, thank you for this opportunity, because this question almost no one ever asks. So and for myself, I can't say like, yeah, I want to give up every day. Like, what's that for a subject to start a conversation, But, and also that's a bit exaggerating. And so I don't want to give up every day, But I still think of it a lot of time. So because the whole thing is tiring, So yeah. But I thank you for this opportunity, because I think it's important to share that, and lots of people don't dare ask, because you don't ask about that, like social convention, and well, anyway, if everyone asked me by PM, I would be completely drowned out in the private messages. So yeah, but it's very important for me to share that, because every time I do a post about struggles on social media, I get so many comments and messages of people saying thank you, because I was needing that. And the first time I shared something like that, someone told me, that's oversharing. It could be bad for your career. And I said, like, okay. And I really thought hard on that. And that's how I discovered, like, I don't really care. Well, of course I care because I would like to have a solo career, but I care more about all the messages from all the people that told me they needed to hear that. So, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I think the best way is this one, to be real, to be true, to be honest with people. Yeah. And I am sure your career is not going to be yeah, no, don't worry, because even more nowadays that people are trying to be more empathize with the others, to help each other with these difficult times. So I really hope, and I really strongly believe that you are doing a beautiful job and helping and inspiring a lot of people. This is not going to damage harm you in any way.
I hope so. We'll see. But I think you're right. I noticed like a tendency that, it was like, lots of people eat that or wear that, and now it's like slow food, slow fashion, and it's kind of the same. It's like slow mindset. Just be real. And I noticed this need of people to have some real talk, and influencers who always look perfect or starting to not be liked as much as before, and there is this global tendency. So I really hope that more people will share that, as the teachers as well. I talked with lots of people who have amazing teachers actually, but they are only flute teachers. And what's the hardest part is, I think, is our path as a human being in relationship with our instrument and with music. And because many of our problems, or flute problems or whatever instrument you're playing, they are not actually flute problems. They are like you moving around too much, that's me, or you being tense, or you having pain everywhere because you have maybe problems you could fix, which are not in your body, but which are with your mind, because we just ask ourselves so many questions. And you should talk about that with your students, because they are going through the hardest part of life, discovering themselves. And yeah.
I'm so glad you are here. Really. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. And by the way, just I saw all your comments, guys, and thank you so much for just commenting and saying that you like what I said, and thank you for watching and being here and watching me talk too much. Yeah.
But don't leave yet. We have 10 minutes, please. Okay. I just would like to talk about your CDs. Amazing CDs you launched last year, right? You launched 2 beautiful albums with all the pieces for flute from Jolivet. And I think we would like to know a little bit, why did you choose a Jolivet composer to record? Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, when there was talk about recording a CD, well, I had 2 choices. It's like, when you record your debut album, you might want to record, things people want to hear. Carmen Fantasy, Reinecke Undine Sonata, I don't know, this kind of things. Gluck, these kind of things that are lovely and great music and mainstream as well. And you might want to have a cover with you in a red dress and lots of cleavage. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just half joking here. You can forget the cleavage, but that's what you tend to do when you do a debut album. Or you can do the other thing. It's like playing the music that you play best and that you really feel the message of. And so I decided to go for Jolivet because that's the music I play best, I think. And also I won the Kobe competition with the Jolivet concerto, and there was the Chant de Minos in the second round. And there's when I play Jolivet, whenever I play Jolivet, there's something happening in me that never ever happens with any other music. These incantations, this, well, everything actually, and there is something very deep in this music, and because he was in quest of the primal meaning of music. Music first was a spiritual way for humans who were like in caves without fire. It was a mean for Jolivet. What he thought, music was a mean for humans to connect and to communicate with the universe, actually. And for him, music was kind of sacred in this sense, and it was magic. And what he's looking for in his incantation and almost all of his flute music is this kind of trance-like feelings that you find when you play it or when you listen to it. And when I play Jolivet, whenever I play the Chant de Linos, something incredible is happening, and you can't play the Chant de Linos without the audience going "Oh, ha, ha, ha," at the end. No, you can't. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And when you play other pieces, it's the same. And because like there's so much tension and so many things happening within ourselves whenever Jolivet is happening, it's amazing. And I really want people to discover this music, not just flutists. I'm very happy with all the flutists listening to the CDs, absolutely. But I would very much love for other people to listen to it, and for violinists to take their violins and play all the things they composed. And, I mean, Jolivet composed so much music, no one ever heard it, and no one knows about it, and yet it's here, and it's amazing. And he was such a great human being. He was not just a composer. He did so much for the culture in France, and he wrote so many beautiful texts, and he knew so much. It was amazing. And I think we should rediscover him as a man, as a composer, and that's what I want to do in the next years. And that's a big project. I hope I'll manage. So yeah.
Perfect. Did you meet her daughter? His daughter?
Yeah. I met Christine Jolivet, the daughter of the composer, and she's such an amazing person. She's wow. She had history of music in the 20th century. She lived it. It's her story. And she had dinner with Messiaen, and she met Rostropovich, and she knew Pierre Boulez, and that's just examples, but she actually knew everyone. And and she has such a character and temperament. She's awesome, really. She's
so nice.
Yeah, she's quite impressive. Like, I mean, she imposes respect. Really, when you see her, you don't want to make a bad joke, or I mean, she's absolutely she's super friendly and nice, but she's like, I feel like a little girl next to her.
Yeah, so nice. Good experience to be her so close, maybe to know more about their family and everything.
Yeah.
Here, Jonathan is asking, what did he do, Jolivet, as human, as composer? Could you do? Yeah, a little, so just a short.
He was very engaged for contemporary music. I mean, even in his time, it was the same as now. Like everyone wanted to hear Ravel or Mozart, but no one really wanted to hear some contemporary music. So he founded a society that really promoted that. He was all in favor of promoting contemporary arts. Also, he worked for many arts. He was director of the Comédie Française, which is a theater plays society, which is very important in France. He toured with the Comédie everywhere. He was a composing teacher at the conservatoire in Paris, so he had students. He apparently had amazing relationships with his students, and he was very politically engaged. He was advisor for the culture ministry in France for a time. Yes, amazing. He wrote the first French biography about Beethoven, and it's amazing. Like his language is fantastic. He was a great writer as well. So yeah, he could also draw. There are drawings of him. Yeah, it's a great person, really. Yeah.
So good. What a pity he's not so recognized, maybe as a composer, internationally speaking. I don't know, maybe it's because Pierre Boulez is something between both.
Pierre Boulez didn't really like Jolivet's music. It was not really like Second School of Vienna. It was not at all serial music. So it was a big problem because Pierre Boulez was very influent. And so if you were not Pierre Boulez's closest friend, it was hard for you as a composer. And also he died at a time where he was very famous, but if he had died a bit later, it would have probably stayed. As it is when he died, like Olivier Messiaen, who was his friend, was still living and composing, and his music took a lot of space. And yeah, so there's always the next one. So that's,
what a pity.
Two reasons why we kind of forgot him, and that's a pity, of course.
Yes, but thank you for doing this job and record his works. This is a really good beginning to start with this marketing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd say. Yeah. So Hélène, we need to finish it. Thank you very, very much for being here. I can't believe you. Really, I have no words and speechless for thank you for being here and for being so kind, so generous. So yeah, I have no words to thank you. I think all of us are very grateful to you for being so honest and real in your Instagram. And do you keep seeing your posts and accompanying your work, because we like you very much.
Thank you so much for having me for this real talk, and I'll try to come to Brazil.
After Corona, you could come to Brazil after Corona. To Abraço, you have Abraço here. Would be a pleasure.
Yeah, well, thank you everyone. I saw all your comments. You're also super kind, and I hope everyone stays safe, and all the best to everyone. Keep well, keep healthy, and keep sane during this quarantine. Ariane, thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Lovely talking
to you. Thank you very much, Hélène. Bye bye.